So this is our second session of Azure Active Directory. In this session, we are going to learn what is tenant, how to create users and groups for a tenant, how and create a tenant user groups, guest user, mass import or assign access right, assignment to the directory users. That's it. Okay. So first let's move to the tenants. What is tenant? So tenants represent your organization in Azure Active Directory. So let me go to the Azure portal first and I will show you your tenants where it is. Once you click on the Azure Active Directory, you will see your all tenants. By default, when you log in or sign up to the Microsoft Azure portal or Microsoft Intune or Microsoft 365, a tenant is automatically created when you sign up on the Azure portal or the Office 365. Okay, each AD tenant is different and separate from other AD tenant. Okay, so right now I have a default directory and a default domain name here. Okay, once I log in or sign up with the Azure portal, it will create a primary domain to my account. Right now I don't have any users. It is by default a single user. I am only user of this groups and I have group. Okay, so let's see tenants how it's work. So let me go to the paint. Okay, so here I am, like suppose this is my ID yaksha46@gmail.com. This is my ID. Once I create an account onto the Microsoft Azure, it will give me a by default. It will give me a by default directory. It is called a default directory or your default tenant. It's represent your organization into Azure Active Directory. Okay, so you can create by adding this. You can create tenant here. Let me create it one. Click on the add button and users group enterprise or application app registration. Now you can go through with the, let me go once with the Azure Active. Manage tenants. Click on the manage tenants. Yes, you can create tenant by click on the create tenant. Right now I have default one, this one. Let me create one. So as you can see, Azure Active Directory and Azure Active Directory B2C. B2C means business to customer, enable user to access application published by your organization and share same administration experience. Let me create the default one. Okay, so it's Azure Active Directory. And if you want to confuse within that, you can use this option, help me to choose. So it will provide the difference between this, what is B2C and what is this. Normally we use the Azure Active Directory into our organization. Click on the next. Okay, here you need to enter your organization name. Suppose I am giving right now company 1. Okay, and initial domain name. If you have own domain name, you can enter it here or you can make it as, but .on Microsoft.com is by default comes with your initial domain name. Suppose I give company 1 and it is unique from it is globally. So it's check the company 1 is already used by another directory. Organization name is company one, and I set the India company one. So it's also check with that. Yeah, now it is, you can see the domain here, India company one dot on Microsoft.com. Now you can choose the country or the region. Suppose I select the India one. India is not. Yes. And now review and create. So it will create a tenant for me. I have to enter all the things. So it will take some time. Yes, it provide you only a extra, it's provide you only the extra workspace. Okay, so it's also depend, you can manage subscription into the different tenants or the directory. So suppose this is your default one. Okay, you use for it your own company default, and it you can create another one, like suppose I create right now company one. In company one we can invite the third party vendors to this tenant, create users for the multi vendors, or who is not work into my company but they can work into my tenant. So that's why we create the Azure tenants, or there are hundreds of region for the tenants. If you want to separate your infrastructure between the two companies or the two regions, or if you want to separate your billings, if you want to separate your subscription here, that's why we use this. And it's also depend on the tenant licenses. Okay, so I will show you what is the licenses and what you have permission into the licenses. Okay, yes. Okay, so we have let me duplicate this tab and I will show you. We have a feature Azure AD Connect. Okay, we have a feature Azure AD Connect. You can create a directory for you. You can create a directory. Okay, and in your downside, yes, Azure AD Connect means by this option you can connect your on-premises Active Directory to this, and all the users and group will synchronize here. Okay, so I will let you know what is Azure AD Connect and how to use that. So by this step, you can create your tenant. It will take some times. Okay, so let's move to the other part, and we have another thing is Active Directory domain services. In Active Directories domain services, uh, in some cases, you will need to set up your own domain controllers when you make Active Directory, and when you're doing a lift and shift from on premises to Microsoft Azure, migrating Active Directory, you have to migrate your Active Directory to the Azure cloud. Azure AD does not support some domain services. That's why Azure AD provide a domain services, a managed domain services such as domain joins, group policies, and uh, lightweight directory access protocol LDAP and NTLM authentication. Means let's go to the Azure ADDS domain services. You can find here, or if you not find here, write it here. Azure Active Directory domain services. Yes, you can service. You can see Azure AD domain services. So in some cases, you will need to set up your own domain controller, but ADDS, the service name is ADDS, Active Directory Domain Services. It's provide a managed domain services to you, such as if you want to uh, make policies between the domain joins, group policies, or the lightweight or the NTLM authentication. So you can use these domain services without the need to deploy and manage and patch the domain controller into the cloud. You can use this domain services, domain services. Let's go to the Azure AD Connect. Let's go to the home and AD Connect. Azure AD Connect. You can see these features allow you to manage sync configuration from the cloud in addition to sync Active Directory users and groups from disconnected forest. Okay, so we have to install this AD Connect on the systems, then we on be able to synchronize our users and all the things. We have to install these services onto on-premises servers. You can see manage your on-premises resources, authentication configuration, and on-premises infrastructure using Azure AD hybrid services. So Azure AD allow for seamless single sign-on from your on-premises workstation to Microsoft Azure. It's provide few features like password hash synchronization, pass-through authentication, password hash synchronization, sign-in method. It synchronize a hash of users or on-premises AD passwords or the users to the Azure Active Directory. Okay, so any confusion right till now? Okay, so and it's also use the it's have a feature like health monitoring uh, for monitor our resources or the users like password is expired or not or whatever you issues you can use the Azure AD health monitor. You can see Azure AD Connect Health. So let's go to the other part. So let's move to the another what is Active Directory users.